I'd like to discuss the cultural differences between Sweden and Denmark, and I will be doing this through the medium of The Bridge, which is a TV show that has recently gained a lot of popularity worldwide, basically. And what I'll be discussing is the cultural stereotypes and how they're shown in this TV show, and why indeed they are important. Now, first, I'm going to discuss Saga, the Swedish police officer. She's quite rigid, she's robotic, she's reserved, she's almost unwelcoming, and she has no sense of humor, though she does try. Now, Swedes tend to be a lot more reserved than their continental neighbors, and this is shown through several cultural aspects, including how Swedes interact, how they behave in public, and how they behave at home. Now, in public, a Swede should never approach, make eye contact with, or smile at a stranger. Ever. You're expected to go about your own business and leave everyone else to theirs. At home, a Swede will behave much as they do on the outside, but with the added awkwardness of having to see the same person every day. This generally means that the Swede will mind their own business, but will get involved to some degree, as family is still family at the end of the day. A Swede would love to have a conversation with you about how the weather is looking awfully grim today, and how, yeah, there's probably going to be rain tomorrow. But once it starts getting personal, a Swede will find an excuse to leave, as they do not fare well in uncertain waters. The exception being if one knows the person very well, of course. To be clear, these are stereotypes of the Swedish culture and don't reflect accurately how a Swede would interact in every situation. However, they are stereotypes for a reason and are based in truth. Now, the other person that we're going to talk about is the Danish police officer, and he, of course, then represents the Danish stereotypes. He is a very friendly, hands-on, warm, easygoing man, and he has a good sense of humor. Now, this is shown through many cultural lenses, such as janteloven, alcoholism, and the idea of hygge. Now, the Danes have this remarkable concept of janteloven, or Jente's law. This law basically states that everyone is equal. Everyone is equal to such an extent that if you were to brag about receiving a good grade, or how much you could lift at the gym, you would be met with cold stares and scoffs of disappointment. This does have its upsides as well, of course, as it makes everybody feel equal and welcome. To relax, a common pastime in Denmark is having a cold beer with some friends after a long day's work. Then another cold beer, and then possibly 5 more cold beers. While it isn't inherently a good thing, it does indeed bring people closer, and a certain bond starts to form after you've gotten properly drunk with a Dane. Lastly, the gem of Danish culture is hygge. Hygge is sitting in front of a fireplace with your family, a cup of hot chocolate, and a blanket around you. Hygge is a coffee break shared with a friend or coworker. It has no direct translation to English, but it more or less means having a nice, cozy time. Again, these are stereotypes of the Danish people, and they do not reflect everybody in the country. I'd like to conclude with a question. Are there any other nations that you could think of which could be compared to Sweden and Denmark? If there are, then in what ways do their relationship correlate to the relationship between Sweden and Denmark?